When Vivian Cross's parents tried to force her into signing away her life for their debts, they thought she was powerless. But what they didn't know was that the daughter they called trash was secretly building a weapon far more dangerous than they imagined: the truth. And when the moment came, Vivian didn't just escape. She made them choke on their downfall. The banister was cold beneath Vivian Cross's trembling palm as she clutched it tighter, her breath cutting sharp in her throat. Her father's shadow loomed above her on the landing, his face carved with rage, his jaw clenched so hard that the veins on his neck throbbed. The stack of loan papers in his hand shook with the weight of his fury, and then he shoved them hard against her chest. The edge bit into her skin even through the fabric of her shirt. "Sign it," he growled, his voice dripping with venom. His spit flew against her cheek, a humiliating sting she did not wipe away. "You are nothing but a vessel for my signature. Do you understand that? Nothing without us." Vivian's heart hammered, one hand instinctively rising to shield the curve of her belly. Her unborn child had become her reason to breathe, her shield against the darkness pressing in from every side. Yet in that moment she felt smaller than ever, her knees weak, her throat burning with unshed tears. She shook her head, whispering with quiet defiance, "It is not my debt. I will not put my name on it." From the living room below came the sharp, cruel ring of her mother's laugh. "Oh, Harold," her mother called, not bothering to lift her eyes from the glossy magazine spread across her lap. "Don't waste your breath. She is too stupid to understand what loyalty to family means. The child she is carrying is worth less than dirt." Something inside Vivian cracked. But before she could find words, her father's elbow smashed into her collarbone. Pain exploded down her body, and she stumbled backward, the yawning staircase behind her like an open trap waiting to swallow her whole. "You think that baby will save you?" her father sneered, his boot lifting until it pressed against her stomach just enough to steal her breath. "It won't. Nothing will. Sign the papers, or you will learn what gravity feels like." Vivian clutched the papers with shaking fingers before shoving them back at him. Her voice was barely more than a whisper, but it carried the strength of her refusal. "No." His eyes narrowed, the cold glimmer she had feared her entire life flashing there. And then he kicked. His foot slammed into her ribs from the side, launching her backward. Her scream choked in her throat as she tumbled down step after step, her body crashing against the wooden edges until she landed hard on the floor below. The world spun, a metallic taste filling her mouth, her ears ringing with her mother's mocking voice. "That is what she gets for pretending she is better than the ones who feed her," her mother jeered, her laughter slicing through Vivian's panic. Curled on the floor, Vivian wrapped her arms around her belly, terror rising as pain stabbed through her side. Then, thank God, she felt it, the faintest flutter of life inside her. Her baby was still alive. Her father descended slowly, each step echoing like a death knell. He crouched beside her, his shadow swallowing her whole. He plucked the crumpled papers from the floor and hissed into her ear, "You will sign tomorrow, or I will make sure there is nothing left inside you worth protecting." Blood pooled in her mouth, her body shivering with shock, yet his words seared deeper than any wound. That night, as she dragged herself back to her room, her every muscle screaming, Vivian understood something that pierced her heart with clarity. This was not just about debts. It was about control, ownership, and the twisted joy her parents found in breaking her. And for the first time, as she pressed trembling hands against her belly and whispered promises to the child within, she swore an oath. If she survived, they would learn what it meant to lose everything. Days blurred into nights, pain stretching into a haze. She woke in a hospital bed, pale and weak, monitors beeping steadily around her. Her first instinct was not to check the or the bruises marring her body, but to press her hand to her stomach. Relief washed over her when she felt the tiny flutter. Tears spilled from her eyes, not for her suffering, but for the fragile life still clinging inside her, stronger than the cruelty that surrounded them. The door opened. Her mother stepped inside, not with flowers or comfort, but with her usual sneer. tossing her purse onto the chair. She stared at Vivian as if she were nothing but an inconvenience. "You are dramatic," she said flatly. "Falling down the stairs, making a scene. The doctors think you tripped. Keep it that way. No one needs to know you are careless." Vivian bit her tongue until it bled. Her silence was her shield. Her mother leaned closer, her perfume suffocating. "Your father is furious. The loan still needs your signature. Do not think being pregnant will buy you pity. That baby makes you weaker. And weakness does not survive in this house." 2 days later, her father arrived, boots echoing on tile as though he owned the hospital itself. He sat across from her and laid the loan papers on her lap. "I will say this once more," he murmured, low and dangerous. "Sign. Or next time you will not walk out alive. Neither will that parasite." Her voice shook, but her eyes held his. "You almost killed us already. And you laughed." He smirked. "You should thank me. Taught you a lesson. Trash does not make choices. Trash obeys." The word echoed in her skull, but as he spoke, Vivian felt something shift inside her. He believed her worthless. He believed her powerless. But he was wrong. She held something he could never take, her will. When she returned home, the walls pressed in like a cage. Every step she took they watched. Every time she laid her hand on her stomach, her mother scoffed. Look at her, acting like she is a mother. As if she could raise anything worth keeping alive. Bills piled on the counter. Red envelopes screaming demands. Her father paced the rooms like a trapped animal, barking orders, slamming fists against furniture. Every night, he slid the loan papers under her door like a threat folded into silence. She never signed. In the quiet hours when laughter and cruelty finally died, she planned. A notebook hidden beneath her mattress became her weapon. She scribbled names, numbers, and overheard details from her father's raging phone calls with creditors. Piece by piece, she built the map of his debts, his lies, the collapsing empire he pretended still stood tall. She reached out in secret. Karen, a woman she once worked with before her pregnancy, had always noticed the bruises. She whispered through the payphone at the corner store, asking about shelters, rentals, and any way to escape before her child arrived. Her mother mocked her at every turn, but Vivian began to smile in secret. Each cruel word, each shove and sneer, only pushed her closer to her plan. One night, her unborn child kicked against her ribs as her father paced the hallway outside her door. Vivian whispered into the darkness, "They think I am weak, but you and I will make them choke on that laughter." It was no longer only about survival. It was about justice. It was about taking their pride, their obsession, their control, and turning it into the fire that would burn them down. The bruises healed into yellow shadows, but the fire in her chest grew stronger. She gathered proof, loan letters from the trash, receipts left carelessly on tables, names of loan sharks whose patience was running dry. Her secret arsenal grew heavy with truth. And then the storm arrived. One morning, her father slammed the door so hard the frame cracked. His face pale, shirt half-buttoned. "They are coming," he barked. "They want the money today. Do you hear me? Today." Her mother's face twisted. "Then make her sign. What is the point of keeping her alive if she will not do the one thing we need?" Vivian sat quietly in her room, her notebook pressed to her chest. For the first time, she did not feel powerless. She felt ready. 3 nights later, headlights split the darkness. Tires screeched against gravel, doors slammed. Voices rose, harsh and angry. Not the kind of voices that asked politely. Her father stormed down the hall shouting, "Stay in your room. Do not come out." But Vivian's window was cracked, and through it she heard everything. Fists pounded the door. A voice thundered, "Where is the money, Frank? You have been lying for months. Tonight we do not leave without it." Her father's tone was desperate, clinging to arrogance. "You will get it. My daughter is signing the loan any day now. She is stalling." The man laughed bitterly. "We know she has not signed. She refuses. You are out of tricks. Her mother shrieked. She is useless. Trash. She owes us everything. She should suffer for this. The men laughed with contempt. You think we care about your family feud? This is about you. Your time is up. Furniture crashed. Her father's curses choked. For the first time in his life, the predator had become prey. And Vivian had set the trap. 2 days earlier, she had mailed copies of his debts and lies to his creditors, his colleagues, his neighbors, even his pastor. The carefully built mask he wore was crumbling everywhere, and she was the one pulling the threads. Vivian opened her door and stepped into the living room. The collectors fell silent, their eyes turning toward her. Her father snarled, "Get back in your room." But she stood tall, despite the tremor in her legs. You said I had no choices, that I was trash, that this baby would not save me. But you were wrong. The only person with no choices left is you. She laid her notebook on the table, sliding it across. Every debt, every lie, every name. It is all here. He thought he could hide it. I wrote it all down. Her father lunged but was shoved back by the men. One of them smirked. Looks like she runs this house better than you do. Her mother shrieked, but the men silenced her with a glare. Her father begged for more time. But Vivian's voice cut through the chaos. I will never sign. Not for you. Not for her. Never. The room froze. The collectors exchanged glances, their verdict written in their silence. Vivian did not wait for what came next. She stepped out into the night air, her baby kicking gently inside her, the sound of her parents' empire collapsing behind her. For the first time she was not a prisoner. She was free. And she knew as she walked away that Harold and his wife would never laugh at her again. Because Vivian Cross had sworn an oath, and the world had only begun to see what it meant when she kept it.